If you've been on the internet at all in the past few years, you know what AI is. It's unfortunately everywhere now, but why is it so bad and how does it threaten artists? Well, to answer that, we have to take a look at how AI works. You have an AI generator and you type in a prompt and it's able to generate an image based on the words you've typed in. But the problem with that is that AI generators were trained to be able to do this off of real artists' work without any permission or compensation. They've scraped millions of pieces of art and photos, and some even sell their services. Not to mention all of the get-rich-quick scheme tutorials that heavily rely on AI-generated art to make money. So at the end of the day, they are directly profiting off of stolen work. Where does that leave actual artists? We see it time and time again that a lot of companies will do anything to raise their profits, and AI is no exception. Why pay a real artist when you can type in a prompt and get an instantly generated photo? Artists and other creatives are literally being replaced by machines because our work is that undervalued and unappreciated. Our work that, again, was used to train these generators in the first place and are now trying to get rid of us entirely. And it's not just that. Something I've seen going around on social media recently is people using AI filters over a photo of themselves. What makes this especially heinous in my eyes is that it's just become another trend that is harmful and dismissive of actual artists and the impact AI has on them. The one I've seen everywhere most recently are the ones that say me is a Studio Ghibli character. It's especially sickening because the literal creator of Studio Ghibli, Miyazaki, has stated that he finds AI art disgusting and that it's an insult to life itself. And now his work and the studio's work are being put through AI generators and used against their will for a stupid trend. And no one seems to care about what this means for artists who spent years perfecting their craft only for their work to get wrongfully stolen. Another issue I've seen cropping up are people winning art competitions with AI-generated art. The most egregious example of this I can think of that happened pretty recently was the 2024 Pokemon card art contest, with several top 300 finalist submissions being obviously AI-generated art. It's upsetting to say the least to host an art contest and actual artists who put time and love into beautiful art pieces don't place because those spots were taken by generative AI. Even though they went back and disqualified those people, it was extremely disappointing that they placed in the top 300 spots to begin with, especially considering the grand prize for winning the contest is $5,000 and your art being featured on one of the cards. And this doesn't even cover the amount of social media websites integrating AI into the app with no way to opt out except deleting your account entirely. Meta has stated that they are now going to train their generative AI software using every single picture and video posted to Instagram and Facebook. And users in the US were given no way to opt out of this. I even emailed them several times and all I got back was a demeaning automatic response that said if I don't have proof they've used my art in their generators, they aren't going to do anything about it. Just completely denying me the right to not have my work used to train their AI. Etsy is another culprit of this, but in a different way. They recently decided they were fine with people selling AI-generated content on their platform. Etsy is supposed to be a place for artists to sell handmade goods, but instead has become infested with dropshippers and now AI-generated art, which is honestly a huge slap in the face as an artist who uses that platform to sell my work. Our tendency as a society to want magical solutions to problems as well as instant gratification is destroying everything. What I mean by this is that these so-called AI artists don't want to put any effort into learning a skill. They would rather make it instantly appear in front of them without having to do hardly anything. When their problem is, I'm not good at making art, the solution is to turn to AI instead of picking up a pencil or even just commissioning an artist to make their vision a reality. I don't want to see AI-generated art as one of the first things to pop up if you search anything with the word art on the end. And I definitely don't want to argue with AI bros in my comment section about how great it is. If you care about artists, then stop using AI. And it's not just digital artists, it's actors having their voices stolen. Animators being phased out because now AI can be used to generate an entire film. It's graphic designers being replaced because companies would rather click a button than pay a real person for their time and expertise. It is not just artists, it's everyone that you can think of in the creative field. In what world would we want machines to make art for us? Art is an extension of humanity and it's based on our rich inner lives and experiences. When you take that and water it down into a soulless computer-generated husk, what is the point? Why are we actively trying to replace artists with the very thing that is a culmination of their stolen work? I've also seen this really good point going around to further my case. Why should we bother to consume this content if no one even bothered to make it? If all you did was type in some words and press a button, it doesn't magically make you an artist. Art is a skill that is cultivated through time and effort and hard work, not through words typed into a machine. And a lot of those people fail to realize that the journey of learning and becoming better is a huge part of what makes art so meaningful. Part of the joy of making art is making it. It's not all about the finished piece, it's about being able to take great satisfaction and pride that you were able to sit down and make something to express yourself. If all you have is a computer-generated image, no matter how good it looks, where's the soul in that? At the end of the day, every usage of AI is more and more harmful towards artists. All it does is train itself better and better with every use, and it's becoming harder to tell the difference between real art and AI-generated art. And the amount of real artists I've seen getting accused of using AI is absolutely criminal. They get bullied into showing the separate layers of their work on their art program, or sharing speed paints of their work to prove that they made it. And now even those are starting to get replicated by AI. So what do we do about this? Well, educate yourself on how to tell the difference between AI-generated art and real art. There are a lot of really subtle tells if you just take the time to examine a piece, but here are just some of them. I will be using an example AI image from a guide I found that I will link in the description. Number 1. The hands look weird. And please take this with a grain of salt, this is not a catch-all term. Hands are a common struggle among artists, so please don't just go around and accuse anyone who has trouble drawing hands. Some of these might just be mistakes that beginner artists make, so look for several of these things and not just one. Number 2. Parts of the character or subject matter blend into the background, or there are aspects of the design that just don't make any sense. These can be pieces of clothing or accessories disappearing, weird abstracted patterns, or objects that don't look like anything that exists. A real artist has very intentional choices that go into the art process, so if you notice something that sticks out weird or doesn't look right, it might be AI. Some things to look for include clothing folds, hair, eyes, or other parts of the design just not having a clear start and end, and being weirdly melted or blended together. Number 3. Parts of the art are not matching or consistent. For example, if there are clouds or something in the background, they don't look all similar and look like they're drawn in several different art styles. It just doesn't look cohesive or like the same technique was used throughout. You can oftentimes see this in the shading too, where parts of the piece have completely different rendering styles, or light sources. This point can also include the artists seemingly make beginner mistakes when the art itself looks very polished, like anatomical errors or other things that don't match the skill level of the piece. Usually, if your art looks like this, you have a basic understanding of shading, anatomy, and other aspects, so it wouldn't make sense to draw a hand facing the wrong way or extra fingers and not eventually notice. Number 4. Line work. Oftentimes there are random lines that don't connect to anything or make sense in the piece. This is especially evident in clothing folds sometimes, but again, that could just be an artist that struggles to draw clothes. Remember, AI-generated art usually has several of the things from this list, not just one. So now that you know a little bit more about how to tell the difference, what steps can you take as an artist to protect your work from getting stolen? There are a couple things we can take the initiative on, such as using programs like Glaze and Nightshade, which disrupt the way that AI generators process photos. Glaze protects artists' art styles from being scraped and mimicked in generators, while Nightshade disrupts data collection from photos and makes it useless. For example, you might put a photo of a cat into a generator, but if you use Nightshade, it poisons the photo, so it will make something completely random and nonsensical instead. And there's also the tiny sliver of hope that AI-generated art cannot be copyrighted since it was not made by a human. If you take anything from this video, please do not let generative AI destroy your sense of worth if you're an artist. Any artist, even if you started today, is leagues better than any AI because you're taking the time to learn and do it the right way, not with a harmful shortcut. The point of this video is definitely not to be all doom and gloom and say that artists should give up. I'm not saying that the fight is hopeless, and I'm definitely not saying that they will successfully replace artists, because AI-generated art will never be better than what real artists can do. I take great solace in the fact that these so-called AI artists will never be able to make art like I can, or like any other artist can. Sure, you can magically generate artwork from thin air, but so can I. I can turn a blank canvas into anything I want, and the difference is that you will never be able to generate something exactly like the vision in your mind, because you are not a real artist. Also, I can draw hands. I hope you enjoyed the video. This is just a topic that I feel very strongly about, and the harmful effects of generative AI cannot be understated, especially towards artists or anyone else in the creative field. If you didn't know about how harmful AI is, well, now you do. It's never too late to stop using it and start supporting real artists. Thanks for watching.